You and me, sitting in a tree, DEVTIPSING. Welcome to our 8.1 in the video series I call Design and Code My Personal Website in 12 Hours. For the past 2 months, we've been working on this very personal project. It's my personal site. Thank you so much for coming along this journey with me. For a designer like myself, designing and redesigning your personal site can be a great source of learning and growth. In fact, it was through doing this very thing that I taught myself how to code originally. So this is really important to me. This is like my coding crucible. Today we're going to start working on the articles section. The articles section is unique in that it's a direct port in a lot of ways from the current website. So let's look at the current website. You see, the current homepage is basically a listing of articles. We're going to take this content and repurpose it here into this section, the articles section. Let's get started. As a review, we've covered the heroes section up top. We've covered this YouTube section, and last week we did the mentoring section. As we scroll down, we see that we have nothing done yet, and let's consult our Photoshop file to see what's next for us. So next we have defined is the articles section. Now the articles section are unique to this point because they involve the blog, the Jekyll blog. And so I've been getting some questions lately. Why did you use Jade and Jekyll when Jade is a templating language? Well, Jekyll is a little bit more verbose in its templating in that it can handle things like blogs. In addition to that reason, my current website is built on Jekyll, and all of my posts are Jekyll posts, so they're going to be really easy to transport in. But today, in this hour, I'm not going to be transporting my blog posts. I'm just going to be creating some ambiguous blog posts to fill in the spaces so that we can get an idea for how that works. And I'll teach you how to make the loop and everything. But that will become later. The first thing we're going to do is deal with the styles. Now, like every other section video I've done before, I have to do a few things. I have to create the Jade template in the Jade files folder, and I have to create the Sass file in the CSS folder. So you don't need to watch me do that. I'm just going to speed through that right now. Okay, I've set up my workspace, and just as a review, I've created a section-articles.jade inside the Jade files, and I've included into the index.html like we've done every other section by using the liquid include tag that Jekyll uses. Secondly, I've created articles.sass and included that into the main.scss so that it can be imported in and used with the rest of the CSS files. So everything's all set up just the way we usually do. And I want to start with the section-articles.jade. Let's open the columns.jade, and let's just grab the columns that we want to replicate here. So according to our design here on the right, we're going to have a 50% split on both. On the left, we're going to have a call-1 that's containing the characters there, the phrase writing and designing articles and the button. And then on the right, we're going to have a bunch of clickable thumbnails. And these clickable thumbnails are not going to be contained in any of the column-1s or column-2s. They're going to spread as far wide as the column-50 will allow it, which is 50% of the viewport. And so that's what the structure is going to be. So we're going to have two 50s, and inside of the first 50 on the left is going to be a column-1. And so that's basically, if we go to our columns below all of the coding we're doing, it's going to look like something like this: the floating one and then the 50% one, and that's the last one. So let's, in that columns.jade, let's just grab this last section, copy it, close that file, and go into our section dash articles and paste it in. And this is just a starting place. I'm going to go in and name that section with a class of articles. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go into the left-hand side of the layout there and create the home lead, the paragraph and the button. So we're going to go into the column 50 that has the column -1 inside of it, delete that, and then we're going to make a class of home-lead. Is that right? Let's check on our YouTube or something. Section youtube.jade. Home lead outdented. Yeah, we're just going to copy this actually. A lot of copying and pasting in these sections because they're very, very similar. Okay, and put them inside of the column. Cool. The content we want is this phrase here: writing and designing articles. And the home-CTA is going to be, the phrase inside of it is going to be see all articles. We'll capitalize this too. And the href is not yet defined, so I'll get rid of this link to my URL or the YouTube channel. And that should be it, except for, remember, I want every one of the text-based sides to, when they collapse, be on the bottom. So this actually needs to be like this, and delete that, and put it below column 50, like this. Okay, and I need to have in column -50 right here, I need to put that class, for example, on the YouTube, this class section or class order first. And remember the class order first, make sure that in the layout it gets moved to the left, but when it breaks down into mobile, it goes to the bottom. That's all that does. So I'm going to save and then look at what we got on our layout here. All right, let's check it out. All right, here is our call to action and our home lead. We have the 50% column on the right, and then when we make it mobile, the home lead goes on the bottom and the 50% column is on the top. That's exactly what we wanted. Now what we have to do is go into our Photoshop file, see what else we got. Let's start with the background. Let's go into the styles. Get rid of these other files here. Okay, styles. Section.articles. Background. Image. I already have this image extracted. It's right here in the image file, article.background. It's just this text right here. So I'm going to say image. No, I'm going to say also say URL image. What's it called? Article. .-bg.jpg, and I want that to be size. No, I don't want it to be cover. I want it to be repeat. Okay, cool. So you see that there in the background, little handwriting, elegant, nice. And the only other kind of things I need to style for this left-hand section are the colors. So I want the home CTA to have a white color. White color. And the button is going to have this blue, and I don't know what blue it is, so let me sample it here. All right, I got the sampled color, and that'll be background blue. That's the color I want. Cool. So now let's focus on this right-hand section. This right-hand section needs to be full of boxes of thumbnails, like this. And then when you hover over them, it gets the article name and date in the hover box. Okay. So let's just start making boxes, I guess. Column 50p. We don't want that. Let's say article rep, and then we want a class of each one is going to have article dash thumb. Yeah. Now this article thumb, the little square, I want it to actually be a link. So I can use the tag, the anchor tag, and I just need to make sure that I change that to a display block because they're naturally display in line. But this can work, article thumb, and then inside of the article thumb, I want a article meta, and then inside of the article meta, and inside of the article meta, I want the article meta. So first is name, and then so it'll be article name, and then second will be date, and this will be like December 10, 1982. That's all we got. Let's save it there. Take a look at our progress. All right. Looks good. We want to take this and get this article thumb here and copy it. Let's put it into a mixin, because mixin called thumb. The reason I'm putting it into a mixin is because we have to replicate this a few times because there's a few articles here. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 articles, and I don't want to like write out 12 articles, so I'll just make mix in with 12 instances. What did I call it? Thumb? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Easy peasy. I've done that 12 times. Now I should have 12 of these little units here. Brilliant. Okay, next we go to what should we do? Should we style these? Oh, you know what we should do? These anchor tags, they need background images because I'm going to use the thumbnail right here. If we look, I'm going to use these thumbnail images as like clickable things. So let's make a space right here called style equals background dash image and URL. And then in the URL, I'll just put a placeholder of my favorite placeholder, philmurray.com / and it could be anything, like say 230 wide and like 500 tall, and that's fine. We're just using them as background images. So I should have a bunch of Phil Murrays here. Now, I don't. Why is that? Why don't I have a bunch of Phil Murrays showing up as the background of all of these, article thumbs? Well, the reason is because they are currently, as I said, static elements. They're anchor tags, and we need to switch them to display block. Bam! There goes Phil Murray's hair. Love it. Background, size, cover. Background size cover, and then let's give these boxes a dimension. I want the box to be have 4 thumbnails in the row, and that should be done easily enough by saying width 25%. So now we have our boxes those wide as we want. Should we just float them left? I don't think we've used floats one time in this whole series so far. We've just been like flexing everything, but this is fine. We use float left, article with 25%. That means it's gonna have 4 across, and it's gonna be like that. And now we want to do something a little sneaky. And what we want to do is we just want to have the thumbnail be a square no matter the size of the width. And how should we do that? Well, we're going to use like a sneaky CSS trick, and I'll show you how. First thing we want to do is set this position to relative. That way we can go in here and say and after, create a pseudo element, and with all pseudo elements before and after you have to have a content, and then you should just define the display type. So we'll say display block. And then here's the trick. If you say padding top or bottom 100%, what it does is it's 100% of the width of the parent. So what we're really saying is match the width of the parent with this inner element, which will add height to it. So let's save and show you right here. So what happened, you handsome devil. We have, let me pull up my developer tools, not on that developer tools. Okay. So what we have here is a background image, or the what's it called? The article thumb right here, and near it, it's not exactly a square like we're looking for, but I'll show you why. And then we have the article meta, which takes up about 44 pixels of height, and then we have the after element, which is the exact same width, the exact same height of the width, right? So it's not the after element that's adding that extra height to make it not a square. It is indeed the article meta. So remember how we made this a position relative? So let's go to the article meta and make it position absolute. Right, now we have a perfect square because the article meta, being an absolute element, is taken out of the flow of the elements in the DOM, in layout-wise, and they're now sitting on top of that after element, which is 100% of the width. Its height being 100% of the width of its parent. So we now have a grid of 4 by 3. This is 12 icons or thumbnails for articles that are, wonderfully laid out. Smashing. So let's talk about this this article meta. Let's make the background. Actually, let's make the background the same color here. I was going to make it pink. You know how I like background pink. You guys know how I like background pink. Okay. Now we can see that the background, the element itself is squished in. That's because it's position absolute. Absolutely positioned elements kind of shrink up to their content. So to battle that, we got to use these tops, these lefts, right. Put them all at 0. Bottom, and this will just stretch this out to the parent. The nearest parent that has a position declared, which is relative, which is the article thumb, which is declared relative. So that's going to stretch it out across the hallway, the whole way. Let's go to the background and say fade dash out. This is a what is it? It's a Sass function. You can say fade out, comma. And then we want to fade it out, 0.2, I think. Okay, that means, I always get these backwards. Is it fading in or out? Okay, so 2 is like more opaque. That's all right. Now let's go to, I feel like this doesn't fit right here. It needs to go to the bottom. Okay, now let's go to the color and make it white. White text, okay. And we want to add a bit of padding. How about 10 pixels? Okay. Now, what's cool about having that position element stretched all over, you can add padding and it just adds padding inside. And you don't have to worry about it adding extra width because the position is what's making its dimension, not like a defined width. So we have the article name and the date. Cool. Let's look at these name. And we want to just bump up the font size a little bit to 18 pixels. And the date, just make it font style italic. Cool. Great, great, great. Next, let's deal with the kind of the hovering situation here. We don't want these blue overlays to be there all the time. We want them to be just there on like hover. Let's go down to the bottom here, and what's interesting is we don't want to be concerned with hovering over article meta. We want to be concerned with hovering over article thumb. So we'll put that hover there. And then when you hover over article thumb, let's then target the article meta as an element and then do things to it. One of the things I want it to do is fade in. So I'll set the opacity to 1. And then also I want to translate it. Let me show you a little bit about how I want to translate it out. So let me go to article meta here that's not hovered, and we'll use a transform and say translate, and then in there we'll just say 0% to the left and right, and then 100% to the bottom. Just scoot it all the way down. See, now it's pushed all the way down. So now they're on the bottom, and I want to poke them up at the top. So I have to go transform 0 on hover. See now how they jump up? Great. Let's put a transition so we can animate that. About 300? No, 200 milliseconds. And ease in, out. Cool. I think we can do better. Let's add scale to it, and we'll start at like maybe just 50%. And then when we do our thumb, we want it to grow to scale, S-C-A-L-E. We want to scale to all the way to 1. So now we have these little guys, and then when you hover over them, they jump kind of up. Right, and now remember I put the opacity on. Let's put the opacity, turn it off here. That's cool. And now you see how it kind of like you can still see it outside of the box when I do this thing in. We need to cut that off from happening by going to the article thumb and saying overflow hidden. Now it won't happen. It'll just look like it's coming from the bottom of its own container. You guys like that? I think that's quite nice. All right, there's a few more things I want to do, and then we'll be done with this part of the hour. So you see this writing and designing articles portion here in the button. I want to take that and kind of center it, because we have all this height gain from these articles. I want to center this text here. So I'm going to come down here and find that. Okay. I'm going to make another div. I'm going to call that description wrap and indent these so that they'll be inside that. The description wrap is basically just going to tie those two elements together, because remember flex, when I flex stuff, because I want to float this thing with flex, when I flex stuff it gets like breaks apart those columns really well. And I want to keep them together as one kind of unit that gets centered together, so I wrap them up together. But I want to focus on this column 1. Column 1 is the only column 1 that's in the section articles. So I'm going to just go to section articles and just, I don't know, column 1. And I want to make it display, flex, and also I want it to be align items center. There we go. Now they're in the center. And let's look at this in mobile, see how we're doing here. Okay, so we have all our articles. They're still squares. And it looks like our text is hitting too tightly right here. That's fine. So that will be in a media query actually. So let's let's make a media query. At media max width, we know that's going to be 640 pixels, and that's going to be that new element that we just made called description wrap. When it's small like that, I want to add just some margin top, let's say 50 pixels. Okay, perfect. And we go into mobile or desktop mode. That 50 pixels is gone, and it's floating in the center. Here's a thing. I'm noticing now that that these Bill Murray heads, we should put position center. Put his face in there. Well, that looks weird. Okay. I want to get rid of these margins on the top and the bottom, so let's go to, what is the element called? Article wrap. Article thumb, probably right here is a good spot for article wrap. Margin, we'll say negative 50 pixels, 0, 0 here. Right. Oh, but why is this bottom margin not getting rid of? Oh. How about because of the floating, that's why. So where do we go? Left float, we got to say clear fix. That's what we wanted. Okay, so we cleared it. Now the articles are touching the top and bottom. What happens when we go into mobile? Is it yucky? Oh, okay. It's kind of yucky. So we want this to be 100 to offset the negative 50 pixels that we put in there. Let's check it out now. It works for me. In the next section, we're going to be using Jekyll to put in new thumbnails, and actually an article loop instead of using these Jade mix-ins right here. And then after that, we'll do a little bit of, fun stuff with JavaScript to make it fun. All right, so we will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Little Trav already told us what we're going to be doing in the next video. That comes out tomorrow, so I'll see you then. In the meantime, you might want to check out the latest vlog episode in which I document my interview with Google. And that was freaking stressful and maybe interesting to you. Maybe you would like that. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's there. Also, I have a podcast and a mailing list that you should definitely subscribe to. A lot of people think that those things are better than these YouTube videos. I think that I'm gonna start ordering jalapenos on my pizza from now on. That's just a fact. And of course, this video would not be possible without the support and encouragement of my patrons, these patrons. DevTips patrons enjoy really awesome benefits, like being able to join in live on the new Hangout series hosted by Adam and Matt. It's awesome. Last week, Adam taught us how to get even deeper into Jade. Really good stuff. But even if you're not a patron, you can still check out the recordings after they're completed. There's a new playlist on the DevTips channel page on YouTube, and you can check out all the videos there. And join us at patreon.com/devtips. Okay, I'm done talking. I'll see you mañana, and until then, keep on hacking.